Hey guys, Captain John Tarr here with Tailhunter Outdoor Adventures, and I want to take a little time today to talk about one thing that anglers can do to really improve their chances of catching fish when you're on a fishing trip. As a guide, we have a lot of information we're trying to get across to an angler when we spot a fish. We're trying to give them distance, we're trying to give them location, usually by using a clock system. And we're trying to give the direction the fish is also moving, whether it's left to right or right to left. And you have such a limited amount of time to give that information and present either your lure or your fly, that one thing anglers really need to learn to do prior to getting on the boat is reading the actual fish itself. One of the questions we always get is, well, how far does my fly or my lure need to be in front of the fish? And that all depends on the given fish. There is no standard answer. So with the help of some targets made by my friend Nick Ewing, available at Nick MLC, Mosquito Lagoon Creations. He made these casting targets. I'm going to utilize these to kind of demonstrate what I'm talking about. So you'll notice our targets, we have a cruising fish and we also have tailing fish. So when you're using these, you can practice a variety of different scenarios. So when we're talking about reading the fish, we're talking about what is that fish doing in the water. Is he cruising along level with the bottom or the surface, just kind of getting from point A to point B? Is he tilted slightly down with his head down, his tail up? Maybe he's not actually tailing above the surface, but he's paddling along a little slower, looking for something to eat? Or is he in the actual tailing process, where if you were to see this fish, he's way head down, his tail's above the water, and he's really grubbing in grass or mud, concentrating down. And when we talk about at the fly fishing schools we do with Flip and people, we talk about area of awareness. And that area of awareness all depends on how is that fish sitting in the water. So this is what you have to be able to learn. And the best way to do it, of course, is just time on the water. But we'll go over a little bit of it here. So if a fish is level in the water and he's cruising, doesn't have to be going real fast, but he's just going along, just swimming his little heart content here. This is where you're going to have to place that fly further out in front. That fish is aware. His area of awareness is much larger. He's seeing stuff to the side. He's seeing stuff out front. Even more important, because as we talk on the flats, death comes from above in the form of birds and people. He's seeing up. So if this fish is level, you need to put the cast way out in front and then try to intercept that fish as it comes in. And that area of awareness is going to be much broader because he's up so much. So you may put it 3 or 4 foot in front of that fish. If he's cruising faster, you may have to put it 5 or 6, maybe even 10 feet in front of that fish. But you want to put it out there and intercept it as he comes in where you think he can see that fly. That's when you start, or jig, that's when you start moving it. Now, one really important aspect of that is a sidearm cast. If you can learn to make these presentations with a fly, spin, bait caster, using a sidearm technique on your cast, it's going to make it much harder for this fish that's cruising and able to see up to see what's moving in the air, or to see the lure or the fly coming into them. Remember, their depth perception may not be 100% above the water, although there are some fish that do very well at seeing above the water, but they do see that shadow and they see that movement. So the lower you can keep that to the water, the better your chances of success. Now, let's take that same thing, but now the fish is tilted down a little bit and he's moving a little slower, and the head's down, the tail's up, elevated some. This fish is hunting. May not be keyed in on something specific where it's tailing down and hitting it, but it's hunting and it's looking down. So now we can drop that fly a little bit closer. Maybe instead of 5 to 6 feet, it's only a couple of feet in front. And I always try to put it on the opposite side. That's just me. And as it comes in, same thing. We start making it look like they've spooked something that's trying to get away. But it allows you to get that fly a little bit closer. Now the third is when that fish is just completely tailed up. That fish is on something, it's rooting around for something specific, whether it's crabs or shrimp, or it's trying to pin a bait fish to the bottom, whatever it is. That fish's area of awareness now is very, very tight. You put a fly 4 or 5 feet out in front of that fish, won't even react to it 9 times out of 10. Matter of fact, you put it 2 feet away, they may not react to it. So this is where now we can be very aggressive with our presentation. I may only drop it 5 or 6 inches in front of that fish. And then I'm going to work it. And hopefully as he's tailing and kicking that mud up, it spooks out and they go over and eat it. So this becomes much easier and much quicker to identify the more time you spend on the water. But it is something that you need to be aware of, because the guides have limited amount of time to get that information across. So pay attention. When you see the fish, when you're told where the fish is and you see it, pay attention to what that fish is doing. And then using these tips, you can start playing with the range to see where you're comfortable putting that fly. Hope this helps you get more success. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to drop me an email.